It's been a couple of months since the last time we talked about Ethan Crumbley. I think the last time we talked about him was when his parents were on the run and they finally caught them and threw them in jail right along with him. So this is an update that's coming your way about Ethan Crumbley, who we know committed that mass shooting back in November at Oxford High School. I believe that was outside of Detroit. It was not in Detroit. Remember, the mainstream media tried to say that it was in Detroit, but it turns out Oxford is about 30 to 45 minutes away. So it's not even in the same city. They're not that close to each other. But the update that's coming is one that's not so surprising. And that is that Ethan Crumbley is planning to have an insanity defense or plead insanity for what he did. And I wouldn't be in the least bit shocked or surprised if he actually was able to be granted that request. So I'm going to go ahead and read this article coming from the Detroit Free Press, posted January 27, 2022. Teenager Ethan Crumbley plans to pursue an insanity defense for his alleged role in the Oxford High School mass shooting that killed 4 Oxford students, injured 7 others, and devastated an entire community, according to a Thursday court filing. Please take notice that Ethan Crumbley intends to assert the defense of insanity at the time of the alleged offense. His lawyers, Paulette Lofton and Amy Hopp, wrote in the 1-paragraph filing in Oakland County Circuit Court. The filing now paves the way for Crumbley to receive a psychiatric evaluation, which has not yet been done and is needed to pursue in an insanity defense, which means they're going to string this along. If y'all remember with Nia Wilson, the black woman that was killed out in California a couple years ago, the person who did that to her, they did the same thing, and that's why it took them so long to finally convict him of something. And I think that judge was just over it. He was tired of dragging this thing along, and I think he probably already had made up in his mind that this guy was guilty. But they finally did find him guilty like that following year. And he's currently in jail right now. I forgot how long his sentence is, but it's a pretty lengthy one if he didn't get life, which he definitely should have, considering he killed someone and almost killed another person. But that's initially what they're trying to do with this one. And they say when they need a psychiatric evaluation, they have to be completely cleared from the doctors in order to stand trial. Without that clearing, they can't stand trial. And one of 2 things is going to happen. They're going to continue giving the treatments till they are fit to stand trial, or they're going to throw them into some kind of a psychiatric facility. That's one of the 2 things that's going to happen. Oakland County prosecutor Karen McDonald has previously stated that she has no reason to believe that Crumbley's mental state would affect his ability to face charges. Mike Rataj, a prominent defense attorney who has used the insanity defense in multiple cases during his 30-plus year legal career, expected this move from Ethan Crumbley's lawyers. I don't have all the facts. I don't have contact with the client, but from a distance, it seems to me that this is the most prudent form of action, Rataj said of the insanity defense, adding, sometimes it flies, sometimes it doesn't. Rataj said that Crumbley defense will have to overcome the factual hurdle as to if he's actually insane, which would point to culpability, and there will be plenty of experts involved, he noted. It's going to come down to a battle of the experts, Rataj said, and whether the jury is going to believe that the kid cannot formulate the necessary intent because he's insane. Rataj also noted people who are schizophrenic, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're not guilty by reason of insanity. Prosecutors have portrayed Crumbley as a troubled and homicidal teen who battled depression, hallucinated, tortured animals, was fascinated with guns and Nazi propaganda. They also have blamed the parents for the mass shooting, saying they ignored numerous red flags, that their son was in trouble, and instead brought him a gun, which he allegedly used in the massacre. The parents had information long before November 30th, 6 months prior to the shooting, that their son's only friend moved at the end of October, that the family dog died, that their son was sadder than usual, and that he was sending his mother disturbing texts about his state of mind. The prosecution has argued in court documents. Instead of paying attention to their son and getting him help, they bought him a gun. Dr. Zeev Cohen, a Cornell University psychiatrist who has consulted on over 30 murder cases, said the Ethan Crumbley defense team faces an uphill battle in proving legal insanity. According to Cohen, the legal definition of insanity requires proving that someone is so out of touch with reality that they don't understand the consequences of their actions. It's a pretty high threshold you have to cross, Cohen said, adding less than 1% of insanity defenses actually work. According to Cohen, it will not be enough to show that Ethan Crumbley was depressed or engaged in unusual behavior like torturing animals, which prosecutors have alleged. At issue will be determining whether Ethan Crumbley has a psychotic illness where he breaks from reality and doesn't understand the consequences of his actions, or if his behavior points more to bad character of that of a psychopath. With that saying right there, they need to look back and see if Ethan Crumbley confessed or even acknowledged that what he did was wrong. Or if he just acknowledged it altogether. Because if they can find something like that, then that insanity defense is going to go out the window. Not having a conscience does not reduce your culpability, Cohen said. As for allegations that Ethan Crumbley case will be, was he mad or bad? These defendants are either mad or bad, Cohen said. Madness versus badness are both on the table. I suspect you're going to have a battle of the experts. Cohen, who frequently evaluates psychopaths, predators, and violent criminals in prison, said what Ethan Crumbley may have going for him is his youth. The jury might be more likely to feel compassionate toward him, he said, or view the teen as troubled or not well, and therefore may have a lower threshold for considering him insane. A judge could also take his age into consideration at sentencing and give him a lower sentence. Cohen said, noting that happened in a 2016 psychiatric hospital murder case he testified in New York. The jury convicted a 20-year-old psychiatric patient of second-degree murder for strangling another patient in the shower with a towel after beating him first. The judge gave him 17 years instead of 25 to life. Cohen, also an adjunct professor at Columbia University, explained how an insanity defense can work. For example, if a schizophrenic shoots a police officer because they think he's an alien invader, that's a classic example of someone who's legally insane, he said. They don't understand they are shooting a human, but an alien invader. But if a schizophrenic is irritable and pushes someone in front of a subway, that doesn't fit the criteria for legal insanity, he said. Insanity defenses can also work in a plea deal where the defendant has such a strong showing of legal insanity that the prosecutor agrees to an insanity plea. But in a case like this, Cohen said, a prosecutor is unlikely to agree to that. The insanity defense came as no surprise to the prosecutor's office. As expected, Ethan Crumbley's attorney has requested an evaluation of his criminal procedure. This is standard procedure, Chief Assistant Oakland County Prosecutor David Williams said in a statement. Adding the teenager suspect will be evaluated by a forensic psychiatrist who will then prepare a written report. Crumbley is charged with shooting up his school with a gun that his parents bought him as an early Christmas present on Black Friday, which was just 4 days before the November 30th massacre. His parents, James and Jennifer Crumbley, have also been charged in the case with involuntary manslaughter. Prosecutors allege that the parents not only ignored their son's problems, but bought him a gun that allowed him to carry out the crime and failed to properly secure it in the house. According to police, school officials in the prosecution, the Crumbleys, who met with the school officials on the morning of the shooting to address behavioral concerns about their son, never disclosed that they had brought their son a gun. That morning, Ethan Crumbley had drawn a violent note on his homework featuring a gun and the words, the thoughts won't stop, help me. School officials called the parents in, but they refused to bring their son home, police and prosecutors have said. The school told the parents they had 48 hours to get their son therapy and then allow Ethan Crumbley to return to class. Shortly after, Ethan Crumbley emerged from a bathroom and opened fire in a hallway in a 5-minute rampage that killed 4 students and injured 7 others. As horrifying as it is, sometimes these actions can be a cry for help, Dr. Cohen said of the shooting. All 3 Crumbleys have pled not guilty. The parents maintain they had properly secured the gun, which is impossible if he was able to get it, that they had no way of knowing their son would carry out a mass shooting with it, and that they are not responsible for the school shooting. If convicted on involuntary manslaughter charges, the mom and dad each face to 15 years in prison. Their son faces life in prison if convicted. Yeah, after reading that, none of us over here should be surprised that this is the lane that they're trying to go in. See, they probably heard that he could face life in prison. So in order to, get around that, we need to find a way to make it where he can be just sentenced to some small sentence or put into some kind of psychiatric facility. But we'll see how that insanity defense works. I mean, I'm glad they laid out an example of how the insanity plea works and what should go into it. But let's be real here. We live in America. We know how the game goes. This is of no surprise to anybody that this is the route that they're taking, the lane that they're going in when it comes to an individual like this one that you see on your screen. The same song and dance. We have heard it time and time again. Y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe if you are new. Make sure y'all hit that notification bell if you have not done so already to be notified every time I upload a new video or go live. And I will talk to you in the next one.